Welcome back to Living Room Sports, presented by JP Roofing and DraftKings Sportsbook.
We're now joined by a man who is the Western Pennsylvania Golf Association Player of the Decade. He's one of the best you'll find around here, and he has Masters history as well. Nathan Smith. Nathan, thanks for joining us, and I know you have such a great experiences to share with us at the Masters. What is your favorite?
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I was honored to be down there. It was great to be a part of it. There's so many stories off the top of my head. Obviously, playing with Arnold Palmer in his last one in 2004 was pretty special. Being in that group, coming up 18 with the King, being a Western PA guy, and having your dad on the bag and the big white jumper also was special. And there's so many, and when you're playing in the Masters, you know, there's always 10,000 people around. You can hear every comment, everything they could hear. I've heard everything from how does he make contact with the ball? They're talking about me and my swing, to he looks like a taller Matt Kuchar, to, you know, he looks like a chunky Rory McIlroy. I've heard it all. So it's just so much fun to be in that event, go down Magnolia Lane with your father and your family, and something you work for your whole life. So it's a real honor.
Nathan, those are all great stories. I'm going to get back to the Arnold Palmer story.
Sure.
Playing his final round at the Masters. You had a chance to play with him. I mean, what was that like in general? Not just walking up the 18th hole, but playing all 18 holes with him that day. Maybe sharing some stories, talking a little bit about it. I know you know him because you're from Western PA, but
Sure.
That day in general, what was that like?
Yeah, it was special. I was lucky enough to play with him in a practice round on Tuesday, and I had no idea that I figured he'd play with Nicklaus and Player, and lo and behold, then the tee times came out later that day. I'm like, oh my God, I'm playing with Arnold Palmer in his last one. But just seeing how emotional he was and how much people loved him and how gracious he was to me and supportive of my game, and he was rooting for me to, you know, make the cut that year. But being from Western PA and playing with Arnold Palmer his last one was just a dream come true. So.
Nathan, one of the things I want to ask you, for the people that don't know, how do you qualify for the Masters? I mean, I understand you have to go through the Mid-Am and win that. And what was that like, qualifying for the Masters and getting in there? Maybe even you're the first time you've done it, that experience, that the way you felt when you won.
Sure. I think the first time, you don't want to say it's the easiest because you're probably the younger. The U.S. Mid-Amateur are guys 25 years and older. So when you're 25, you're like ready to go. I got to take advantage of this while I can. I'm the youngest guy in the field. But when you do it, you don't quite get your arms around it until you're maybe the night before you're in that final match. And it's kind of like, if you win tomorrow, if you're in, if you're not, my gosh, how do you go forward thinking I could have played in the Masters? So going forward, you know, after you did it once, then you know what's on the line and how good it is. It made it even harder. But there's a lot of pressure there, not only just to win a USGA championship, but to get an invitation to Augusta, which is, you know, everybody's dream. It was a lot. It was a sleepless night, that's for sure.
Hey, we all know how great Augusta is. I mean, you've played it a bunch of times. Pomp has played it. I've never played it. I'm the only one here that hasn't played it, but I do have the flag up here. And I want to ask you locally, what are some of your favorite courses? I also have Oakmont, Edgewood, Longview behind me.
Well, yeah, you know, I'm at Wildwood and Swickley. You got to start with those. I love those courses. Great people, great greens. But as far as this area, you know, obviously you're going to start with Oakmont, history, tradition. Oakmont's amazing that, you know, it used to be all about the putting. Now you have those bunkers. You need a lantern to get up there. You can barely throw it out back to the fairway. It's so tough. Laurel Valley's also, you know, a favorite. And then there's so many courses around here. Allegheny, Nevillewood. I mean, it's a great area for golf.
Nathan, we appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Great to hear those
Thanks
stories.
A
lot of fun.
Nathan Smith, thank you so much for being our special guest. We appreciate it. Good golfing to you in 2021. When we come back, Rich and I will have our final word about the Masters.